Hi, this is Jeff Moore from Wild Things Seafood, and as you notice when you receive your box that there's dry ice pellets in the box, and so what I wanted to do is create a website at dryicetips.com that talked about the handling, the proper handling and the safe handling of the dry ice when you receive it, because a lot of people don't know what to do with it, and I just want to make sure we are handling that properly and safely. And what I did is I looked around for an expert, and we are actually in a school right now. Why don't you get a little closer to me here, Mike? There we go. We're in a school right now, and Mike Clapp is a high school counselor, but in his last life, he was a dry ice expert. Now, Mike, what makes you a dry ice expert?
Well, before I went back to grad school to become a counselor, I worked in the CO2 and dry ice industry for about 16 years, I guess, thereabouts, and we were manufacturers and retailers of dry ice in all forms. So sometimes in liquid CO2, also in gas cylinder CO2, but the bulk of the thing was in dry ice, whether that be in solid dry ice or crushed dry ice or pellets.
Nice. Okay. Well, as you see, what you'll see in the box when you receive your Wild Things seafood and steaks is that we have dry ice pellets like this. So
it's CO2 in a solid form at minus 109 degrees.
Minus 109 degrees.
And in dry ice's case, it doesn't evaporate. It has this $10 word, it sublimates. So it changes states from a liquid, it's under high pressure, and then when you release that pressure, it can't stay at that state, and so it has to change state to dry ice, snow, and gas. And then you would take that dry snow in a big hydraulic press, or in the pellet form in an extruder. So you'd make that dry snowstorm happen in a chamber and extrude it out into a dry ice solid. Okay. And then it would go, instead of from a solid to a liquid, it goes from a solid to a gas. And that's simply the advantage of the dry ice are that it's cold and that it sublimes and it doesn't leave a residue. It doesn't melt per se. It goes to a gas. I guess there's more cooling power per pound in a pound of dry ice than there is in a pound of, let's say, wet ice, or a pound of blue ice, or something that you would have in your freezer at home when you're
well, at 109 degrees, it's colder.
Correct. And then again, the other biggest advantage is it's not going to leave a residue. It's going to do its job and transfer its cold energy to maintaining the product's temperature, and then when it's done with its job, it goes into a gas. Well, I don't know about dangerous. The handling of it, you have to have some certain, keep certain things in mind when you're handling it. You know, obviously when people say it's minus 109, you don't want to touch it. I mean, dry ice, I guess the best way to say it is you would always want to use gloves when you handle the thing. The other thing about the dry ice and the handling of it is that heaviness in there is something that you want to be aware of. You don't want to put it in tightly confined spaces, and you certainly don't want to enter into spaces where there's a lot of dry ice that's been vaporized or that's present, the gas.
Because there's no oxygen there.
It's heavier than air. It would fill up that room just like you'd fill up water in an aquarium.
So our customers are receiving this dry ice. When they get it, let's say there's still dry ice in the box, what do you suggest they do?
Well, in the amounts that they're given, I really wouldn't worry too much about, let's say, displacement of oxygen, so to speak, in quantities of 5, even 10 pounds. They're safely shipped all over the world in that quantity.
What do they do with it then? What, just leave it out and it'll...
Well, if we left it out like this, just as you've been blowing on it and letting the hot air, this would be gone here in a couple hours, maybe an hour at the most.
Okay.
You know,
keep out of reach of children.
Definitely don't want any kids doing it.
What if somebody was to put it in their mouth? What would happen?
It would freeze whatever it touches. So if it's touching the roof of your mouth, you'd have a frozen, you'd burn the heck out of the inside of the, deaden your cells and burn it off. The biggest thing is just to keep it aside. Don't let anyone near it. Let it do its natural thing and go up into smoke, and you're going to be fine. If you took one of the things that you definitely don't want to do is take this, let's say, a little piece of it, and put it in a stoppered container.
What's a stoppered container?
Oh, like let's say you had an old 1-gallon milk container. or one of those Pepsi 2-liter deals, and you put a little bit of water in it, and then you threw some dry ice in it and closed it up. Well, as you can see, you just blowing on it created a lot of gas.
Yeah.
And as that gas has no place to go, it's going to finally hit the point where it's going to blow. And then when it blows, it can really cause a lot of damage. So, you don't want to confine it into a stopper container. You don't want to touch it. If you don't have gloves handy, I'd recommend using the best gloves you have. Garden gloves would be fine.
But don't put it in the sink or anything like that. I mean.
No, it's going to freeze everything it touches. So some people, if you unfortunately, the internet is such that there's way more creative ways to use so many different things. I'm sure dry ice is one of them. I haven't really checked it out, but I'm sure there are.
Well, that's Mike Clapp. This is Dry Ice Tips, and I'm Jeff Moore from Wild Things Seafood. Hopefully this was valuable to you and helps you in handling your dry ice. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.